Okay, after 8 years of playing Dead by Daylight and being around the Dead by Daylight community, I have come to the conclusion that Dead by Daylight was never a game. It's just a digital torture simulator in whichever side that you play on is hell in its own way, and you're gonna be miserable. On a serious note, I don't really understand what Dead by Daylight is anymore, as I played it on the off chance of it being similar to Friday the 13th, but I just kept playing after that, and just buying the DLC killers and survivors. When I first got into Dead by Daylight, it was always like clear to me that this game was supposed to be fun, party-ish game, with the killer being a threat to run away and avoid and like stealth away from, being scary. While the killer was, I don't know, like more of a power fantasy of being a threat, and also seeing the survivors have like a jump scare moment with certain stealth killers or even just regular terror radius killers. Now we fast forward. What is Dead by Daylight years later? A metafest, a completely arcadey bully simulator? No, seriously, as I know they added skill-based matchmaking into the game, and it changed away from the regular rank system, but it feels collectively after all this time that that was a bad idea, and it can't even be retracted now because the effects have like rooted into the community, making the community more toxic than bleach. I hop on after maybe 2 weeks to play killer, and I'm just dragged through the depths of hell from a bully squad or a streamer bully squad, which is even worse because you're fucking being streamed to other people and your misery is just pure entertainment for them. Or just solo queue players who just play like one person gets down and then they just play get down Mr. President and try to just destroy hooks, body block, and just do everything to just get in your way just so they don't get hooked at once at all, instead of just working on gens. And it's just, not only is it annoying, but it's like crazy that there's so much just effort into something that you're not even getting a reward for. In like my I don't know, past video, I don't know what video this is in like the date wise, but like when I was talking about competitive gaming, at least you got points, at least you got a rank, at least you got a charm, blank, all this other stuff when it comes to playing like competitively. What do you get in Dead by Daylight? Nothing. Blood points every 13th of the month. So this amount of like tryharding is just not even, it doesn't even make sense. It's like labor without the fruits, without the reward, for no reason. But next I'm gonna move on is like, honestly, there is a reason why Behavior never added voice chat into the game base wise. One, I'm assuming that it would be too much for coding and they'll probably break something at the same time. And also because survive with friends who are already actively communicating in a Discord server like it's Valorant VCT just make it hell for anyone playing killer. If you're a killer at that moment, you might as well do what you can. And if someone gets down and you have a Mori, just take the Mori and leave and just let them just escape, because there's no point. As just like the minute you leave somebody in chase, they're already screaming to their friend, their other teammates or friends that he left me, he's like he's probably going to Shack, he's probably going to this gen or that. And it's just like, I'm sorry that there are a bunch of perks that can do a lot of things, but they can't deter survive with friends who are actively communicating. It's just, what are you supposed to do? And it's just like, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the whole premise of like Dead by Daylight, like their first initial ideas, that the killer can just pop out of nowhere, or survivors only info was the health state HUD, and that was it, or any of the perks that they brought into the match. What's the fucking point of chasing someone when they can just describe, let alone winning a chase, let alone someone screaming their head off to just be saved, as they have like the other perk, I forgot what it's called, that just gives haste for whenever somebody gets picked up, and you're just flashlight or drive-by flashbang, and you can't do anything about it. Next, you have to talk about how just like meta builds as killer just they don't feel like an option. It's a requirement. You want to play killer or even enjoy it or even just moderately do well in a match, guess what? Play meta, because if you're not playing any type of meta or any type of meta perks, guess what? You don't have gen slowdown perks, well, game's over. If you don't have vault perks, guess what? Infinite loop to another pallet until the game's over. And if you don't have info or aura perks, well, guess what? Walk aimlessly around the gens until you find someone who's stupid enough to stay on a gen, or someone who just got caught out the minute they wanted to get off a gen. There's nothing else you can do. I literally even played like Survivor to see like maybe it's not as easy as I think it is, and maybe I'm just over exaggerating, but no. I played like a Wesker, and Wesker's like kind of like more of a bullying type of like when it comes to like loops, that and the nurse. I literally just managed to get to pallet as like he barely missed me with his like the Ouroboros like dash, and the only reason I even survived that is because the hitbox is so small and so like edged perfectly to be like at the tip of like where you sent the bound. It's like, yeah, and he DC'd after that too, and I don't blame him, because all the gens literally popped after that. I ran him for 5 gens and I wasn't barely doing anything. I didn't even have any like aura perks to find pallets. I was just doing a basic memory from playing killer, and it's like that type of like stuff that just happens naturally with a game that gets old like this, or you played long enough, and it's like killer's just miserable. I made so many small little like micro mistakes and big moderate mistakes as Survivor, and I still basically won the game because I wasn't hooked once and I ran him for 5 gens. Come on. And then not to mention, we gotta add insult to injury over here. Everything that Behavior does now is on a competitive thought process. They've turned in like their development standard of Dead by Daylight and balancing standard to a more competitive style game instead of an arcadey fun party-ish game that had like a lot of broken things and a lot of some broken other broken things on each side. It's like, and then calling this like a quote-unquote competitive game when there's perks locked, a gameplay mechanic that's locked behind survivors and killers, and it's like locking perks behind killers is stupid. Locking them behind survivors is stupid at the same time, because survivors are nothing but a glorified skin, because there's no passive and there's no nothing that you get for playing this certain character, which they should add so they can change this stupid shrine stuff. Do you know how stupid it is to just wait for like, oh, I don't want to spend money on this killer, so I just have to wait till it ends up in the shrine, which is either fully RNG based or the devs just pick whatever perk that they can pick into the shrine to put in the shrine. And if we're going off with a devs pick, they're never gonna pick like a certain like paid killer license killer perk to be in the shrine. They're gonna wait till like it's 3 years since their release to try and put it in there, and it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. And it's like, oh, okay. I've been waiting for like rapid brutality just so I can use it on certain killers, and because I don't want to buy Xenomorph. and it's like I have still yet to find it and see it in the shrine. But I guess it will just never come. But lastly, I'm just gonna end this here. Just food for thought. I wonder, would behavior really be in the same position and making the same type of money and having the same type of opportunities that they have and having control of the asymmetrical horror genre if they never got access to the Michael Myers license, they never got access to the Saw license, they never got access to any of the DLC licenses? No. The answer is no. They pretty much would either be a niche, very niche game that has some players, or they would have never gotten out of 2016 to like 2019 without how certain like broken it was technically and how it still is. But anyway, peace.